Out Vasily from farming, and NA
Whoa,
still
2 versus 3
in the bottom
deep.
lane. Deep. Oh yeah, we're gonna get a fight out of this one. 3v2, no name. That's gonna be a concussive close lockdown. Ackerman, the body slam over the wall. Scott weak onto Ackerman, and that's gonna be a black shield. And welcome back to the North American LCS as we continue our summer split action. Up next, it's going to be LMQ versus Team Dignitas. This is the second battle for our first place.
Yeah, it's going to be a good finish to our day. And honestly, LMQ would love to pick up a win against Dignitas, which is the only team in the LCS that they have yet to beat so far. If they do win this one, they join CLG as the only teams to have a win against every other team, and they also join CLG in first place.
That's
so
right.
How do they do that? Xiao, he continues to be a top farmer in the LCS, while Shifter is actually 4th as far as CS is concerned at early on in the game. So when you look at the mid lane and the strengths of these two mid laners, you would think that would turn the game for LMQ, but it hasn't really in their matchups. Shifter actually said that playing against Xiao forces him to really focus on his farming and hone that aspect of his game, because normally Shifter's got that pick up kills and team fight passive.
Right, he's got a love-hate for Xiao. I can't wait to see it. If Dig's record of winning the first game of the week continues, this is just a foregone conclusion, and Dig will be making it 3-0 against LMQ.
It's crazy. Dig have only lost 1 game that starts their week as far as their schedule is concerned. One thing to watch out for as well is Zion Spartan. For Dignitas, he is an aggressive player for these guys that likes to go really hard in 1v1s and has had success against Ackerman in particular. So he's going to be needing to draw a lot of attention away from that mid lane matchup and really balance Dignitas' overall attack.
All right, while LMQ is notorious for their early game, Dig say it's what they do in Champion Select that might be tripping them up.
So we play LMQ this week, and so far are 2-0 against them. And it seems to me that they're failing to identify certain picks and bans that other regions can do, and just apply the picks themselves, and it doesn't really work out that way.
我觉得 DIG 他们选人方面就是偏向于个人就是能力的一些英雄，然后他们就是对自己的个人能力是非常自信的。
If you bring them to late game, their decision making is sometimes very questionable. Like they do some pretty bad dives and toss leads.
Look for Ackerman to try and go in on this.
Fight is there. Ackerman could get the fight. No!
我现在觉得一个人很难carry一支队伍，然后现在一个队伍失误越少，然后他们赢的几率就特别越大。 失误越多，他们输的几率就越大。
LMQ's playstyle is different because they kind of rely on kills to get ahead rather than objectives. And it seems like if their jungler No Name doesn't get ahead, they kind of fall apart.
其实赢的比赛主要还是大家五个人共同的配合。
打 DIG 就是我们已经是连输了2场了，但是我觉得我们只要打好自己的，还是有机会获胜。
All right, let's see what these teams have. Last game of the day, Dig versus LMQ. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's going to be LMQ. That means Ackerman in the top lane, No Name in the jungle, Xiao in the mid, Vasily at 80 carry, and more on support.
And on the red side, it is Dignitas. Zion Spartan in top, Crumbs in the jungle, Shifter in mid lane, Cutie Pie on 80 carry, and of course, Kiwi Kid on support.
And we go to game 4 here on day 1. We're going to need a map and a compass to find our featured matchup. We're heading into the jungle. It's going to be No Name versus Crumbs.
Yeah, and Riv, a lot of jungling is a mind game against the opponent, and it's especially important since both these guys are the team shot callers.
Yeah.
And in Dig's 2 wins against LMQ, Crumbs did stay 1 step ahead of No Name, and he was really help his lanes get fed in those games. A lot of LMQ's games also start with very standard laning, and then No Name is the one that needs to make things happen. So if Crumbs keeps him off balance, it will really help Dignitas trip up LMQ for a 3rd win against them in a row.
All right, hopefully they don't fall into last gameception. It is their first game, but it's the last one of the day. We saw Crumbs yawning a little bit.
And it's been a longer one.
Yeah.
I mean, last game was 40 minutes long, which was half the length of our first game of the day, if you can believe it.
When we were talking about being on time, our producer goes, we would actually need 2 20-minute surrenders.
We'd still be
after that 80, and we'd be over scheduled. That's how long they went. But that's the play. That's how it happens. Both teams testing each other to the absolute brink. Full items, full everything. If you miss one of your keystrokes, that's where the error comes in. And sometimes that's an amazing game to see. Sometimes it was an amazing game to see.
Yeah, and there's a lot of momentum swings within the games, or even coming into this game. If we look at these two teams' super weeks, they both ended at 2-2. But it was very different stories. Dignitas opened 2-0, finished 0-2. LMQ was the reverse of that.
Yeah.
They opened 0-2 and then made a surge to go 2-2.
We'll see what kind of surges these teams can make out of Champion Select. We've heard them kind of putting the brick on one another, saying they fault here, they fault here. See if any of that is true. Ziggs and Kog'Maw quickly taking out very directed suspensions coming out of these picks and bans.
And TF sneaking into the ban side for Dignitas.
Always Lulu, too versatile, offers too much.
I actually got a tweet earlier, and there's no real way of verifying the validity of this, but he said Xiao has an average of 2.0 bans against him, because you're just kind of trying to say, oh, who is this bad for? Because obviously you can ban for top laner.
It can flex, right.
Which is the most of any player in the LCS. He said the next highest was 1.8. So almost every game, Xiao has 2 bans against him. And in this one with Twisted Fate and Kassadin, it would stay around the same.
I'd like it. I give it a little bit of credit. I mean, he's very focused out in usually what he just played, what he crushed the last team with. He'll say, yeah, we don't want that to happen again. But then he can pull out whatever he wants. He's gone from being a very utility farm-based player to bringing out a lot of assassins this year, being able to extend his style of play, as he should be. The LCS calls for quite a bit.
It's actually interesting here because Kiwi Kid had played Braum in 3 straight games.
Yeah, he loves his Braum.
This time, No Name can grab it away from him. Interestingly enough, he's only played it twice. Both victories, never gotten a kill on Braum. Many assists, of course.
Best support in it. Still hovering around, we obviously see the Thresh coming in for Kiwi Kid, and Crumbs gets his LD, so long-range playmaking there for them. We've heard teams say that combination can continuously throw out skill shots to try for an initiation, so they're not really left out to dry there with that pickup. A little bit of a hover game being played over here by LMQ. They play for the fans until they select, and we get a Lee Sin locked in. He's been kind of pushed to the wayside today, but now picked up with the Trist.
Big thing I see here is that Trist for Vasily. Thing that turned around LMQ's week last week was when they went back onto Trist. They won both of those games. Vasily used to main Tristana back in his days in China. And I do want to touch on the little video feature matchup we saw between LMQ and Dignitas, where Dig was saying that LMQ doesn't necessarily stick to their plans and pick and ban. And I think that's a bit of a general problem for LMQ, where they do prepare a lot of strategies for each team, but then often when they're on the big stage, they will make a change at the last minute based on a quick reaction. But I don't think it's that they don't adapt to what other teams and regions are running. I mean, we've even had other teams comment that LMQ was faster to adapt to what the Koreans were playing than any other team in North America. We saw it in some of their older team compositions.
Game 2 of the summer split, they brought out Nunu, so they were already from the start.
Well, that was back from the Chinese metagame.
Yep.
In a large way.
Not afraid to bring out a lot. Calling the audible, like they said, has hurt them before, but I don't think we'll go that far off base. Seeing a Rise possibly come in here as well with the Gragas. I've seen Ackerman on Gragas before. We'll see if that Rise gets locked in. It does.
Jeez. A lot of tanky people there on the LMQ side.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Dignitas to rip through those defenses. Couple things here. It's going to be very critical about Dignitas' last pick here. Yeah, I was just going to say that Shifter hasn't played Yasuo, and it doesn't really fit his style.
Right.
He is very much the person who wants to sit on the outside of a team fight and then pick up kills, or be on a pure assassin that can dart in and out. And especially when you see the rest of LMQ's team, it's actually almost identical to the team that Curse played against Xiao's Yasuo, where both their solo laners in Gragas and Rise can build a huge amount of armor and defend against that. So I was going to say the last pick from Dignitas needs to have a lot of magic damage. They solved that. They're doing the top lane Yasuo because Zion Spartan does like to play those mechanically complex champions. Yet they keep Shifter on a champion that fits his style and also diversify their damage so that LMQ can't fully tank up. I really liked the last little switch up Dignitas did there.
Indeed. Let's see how the fan vote stands on LOLesports.com. It might have just changed a little bit after that, but it's setting at 64% of the vote in favor of Dignitas at the moment. We'll see if the picks change anything, and you have the chance to do that.
Yeah, keep sharing the predictions throughout the game. Tweet the hashtag LMQWin or DIGWin to the @LOL Esports Twitter account.
This isn't anything crazy amazing from Dig, but leave it up to them to be the ones to run something like when they do a Soraka top and something else mid, or bring out the different lanes that we haven't seen in a while, but have been done before.
Yeah, I'm a little excited about this one, mainly because the difference in how tanky the solo lanes are actually.
Yeah, what they have
Dignitas
to fight
has brought
against.
the damage combination with Cinder and Yasuo, but there's really the Bruiser, Ryze, Gragas composition that can go very heavy into the armor, lots of health, defensive capabilities. It's a type of composition LMQ has lost to frequently this year that they are now running themselves.
So, meaning this is LMQ kind of being weaker in the early game. Does Dig take advantage of that?
It's an interesting thought that they might be weaker early, only because Ryze can't lane very well against Syndra, especially with the Monocrystal start. Right there. Outside of that, though, Gragas, Lee Sin, even Tristana
makes up
pretty good early. It's just that mid lane where actually it's where Xiao usually thrives.
Yeah.
He has picked himself into a very
solo situation.
difficult matchup here. I think he would only do that because he has so much confidence against Shifter here. It's a pretty suicidal matchup, especially if he doesn't start boots.
Yeah, he, like you said, going for the crystal, looking for a little bit more damage output from his lane. Good wards towards top side. These are just going to be early game vision. All these will fizzle out before we start. Seeing No Name, we talked a little bit about him, and Crumbs, both kind of the shot callers for the team. No Name, captain for previous teams that he's been on. So it's been a role he is very comfortable with and very comfortable in continuing. See if Crumbs can get the same thing going. It's very difficult in a late game if everything is going against you. When things get quiet and your shot caller gets quiet, that causes sometimes the most chaos. And we see that affecting teams in their initiations. Doesn't look like there'll be too many initiations affected from the side of Dig, but I'm interested to see where LMQ comes in on theirs. They don't really have a surefire shot at when these fights come out. So if they don't come out of this laning phase strong, it's going to be tough. Moving
Blade
in.
invade right over top of a ward.
They hatch that puppy. Slowly moving. They'll get the vision they want here, and standard starts.
I wonder what kind of edge Ackerman's going to try and
He's
take
just
up.
hanging out. I just saw that.
He's just chilling in the top lane. Well, he doesn't want to shove the lane because he knows he's going to be in a 2v1. I actually wonder how dangerous he is willing to be up there because there's a couple people coming for him, and he is getting experience right now. So will Dignitas have the foresight to check that brush?
Oh my gosh.
He was expecting Fresh to show up as well.
He wants
so
level
he's
2.
Still afraid to show.
Is he still close enough? Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
okay. They're
PewDiePie's going to want to keep this lane frozen.
I thought the minions were going to move. Yeah, you're right. It'll stay.
This could be genius. Or the opposite of genius. We'll have to see.
Best farmer NA.
This is
the
And
level.
he's level 2, so now he can skill up
Oh,
and
there's
potentially
TBK.
make an escape. But KiwiKid doesn't really have a reason to stand in that brush.
Nope.
They assume that Ackerman is actually
He's,
jungling.
yeah,
right
double jungle. This is super interesting. I can't believe he's actually still there.
this.
He literally has been in with 2 inches the entire time of PewDiePie in this farming. How much patience do you have? That must be a full keg.
He's going to be getting... He's a little scared right now, I think. He's like, you know, I've played this game long
Watch
enough.
like the last second. He
Come on,
gets,
just stay. So he's...
oh, he stayed.
It would actually be ideal if he constantly waits until the last little bit of recall and continues to cancel, because that way there's a chance when someone comes towards the brush to check, he can get out of there scot-free. But now he's just kind of chilling.
Man, the patience award goes out to everyone in this game, apparently. Like, Zion Spartan and Crumbs here getting their badge.
As soon as Thresh shows, Ackerman's going to be able to get aggressive up top
flash.
and actually get some damage onto I'm a Cutie-Pie.
This
Thresh
is so
shows.
interesting.
Cutie-Pie's going to be like, where did he come from? He has no idea right now.
Oh my
what
gosh.
a play by LMQ's Ackerman.
I've never seen someone standing still be so
I've never
interesting.
seen this before. It's incredible.
You're a god. Oh, there he gets it finally! Where did he just come from? Wow! Fat man sprouted out of the brush.
All right.
There we go. What a day.
Almost level 4.
Awesome stuff.
Whereas you can compare this to Zion Spartan, who's level 1 right now, because he was ganking around trying to make plays. The experience differential is absolutely absurd right now. Plus, he's strong enough because of his base skills that he can bully around Cutie Pie now.
That was some experienceception right there, man. Wow, LMQ pulling a little bit of a twister in the top lane. We'll see how Dignitas can coordinate around this. Zion Spartan can't really find himself any experience. The same amount of CS and 3 levels down. Go figure.
Yeah. Zion's going to desperately try and make up for this. What's a level 1 Yasuo going to do?
I don't know.
They're going to try and do a gank here. Support, jungler, and a flow master. Let's see what they can do.
All right, there's a lock. There's 1. There's 2. Zion's not the focus because he's going to have that shield coming up. The teleport. Oh, wait a minute. If he could get in range, no, he cancels that, actually. A good hit. Wow, really? LMQ comes out on top of that one. Yeah. Go figure.
I mean, a level 1 Yasuo coming in for a gank doesn't really lend much impact to the game. So much about... Cutie Pie's got a ward in the brush now, by the way. Says no more Gragas in there. That's the kind of trick play, Riv, that only works once. Forever now, I'm a Cutie Pie at the start of 2v1 lanes. Will check that brush until the end of time.
End of time, indeed. That is going to be tricky.
Kind of reminds me of, like, the baseball play where you're first and you throw it back to the pitcher, but you
don't
don't actually. You hold it, and then you tag the guy out.
Yeah, when he's cleaning off his pants.
Seen that work in the major leagues once.
Much
like the stand in the brush strategy from Ackerman.
Well, that's the time you got to get it in. At least they got it out against Dignitas. Definitely a team that they would want to try and get that kind of sneaky lead right in the beginning. See Ackerman slides into the brush. He came up with a good play. 6 minutes on the clock and about 1,000 gold lead just out of this whole back and forth that Ackerman created in the top lane. He's happy to sit here. Now we call Kiwi Kid finally back up to the top. We'll see what kind of assistance they can give here. All right then. Good try. Just trying to harass him off anyways. Wouldn't have done too much. So we get all of LMQ backing towards that top side. No Name's going to come back even stronger now. Probably, I wouldn't say finished up Lizard. He might be able to finish another long sword, but they're going to have a nice surge of power.
And Riv, we haven't touched on this mid lane, but Xiao's doing spectacularly against Shifter. He started Mana Crystal.
For Cinder Bolt, yeah.
There was actually a fair amount of roam in the mid lane early on in the game, and Shifter still hasn't taken him down. He did get that Negatron cloak to try and limit the harass, but if we look at the farm alone, he's actually winning against the Cinder right now, and has made it to that point where he can itemize defensively.
Dig is making so many multiple person moves here. Hopefully they're getting everybody staying in lane and getting the experience they need, because it's mostly a level behind when you see these guys match up. 5-4 here means No Name's going to hit 6 first. Even when Crumbs hits 6, he only gets another Spidey. So there's going to be a lot of power coming from LMQ when they want to dictate a dragon fight here. 6 already in the mid lanes, 49-47 as we saw before. It'll be interesting to see what LMQ Xiao picks up for himself.
Got to be a little bit careful around this dragon. There's no teleport up on Ackerman, so actually if Dignitas just goes for this, especially with the good war control they have around red buff, they are in pretty good control of this one. No Name would be very, very, very risky if he tried to go in on that. And he thinks better of it.
And the repair on Zion Spartan, he's got himself up to level 5. The team takes Dragon. They are working off the ball wonderfully to get everything back in order here. Looks like they've pretty much thwarted that early game aggression, or at least the kind of play that Ackerman had in the top lane.
For now. They've definitely weathered that storm a little bit. Zion Spartan's still going to have a pretty painful run at it.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the mid lane matchup a bit more, though, because it's something we talk about often, lane matchups being superior in one way or the other. But at the end of the day, it's the players that prove the points. And we've seen Xiao and Pobelter both succeed on multiple occasions playing Ryze into Syndra. So initially the perception was that the Syndra player should destroy the Ryze player. But especially when Pobelter kind of pioneered that very early magic resistance, boots early as well, and then into your items, it is showing that Ryze can clearly survive in these matchups, even if it takes a very skilled Ryze player to do so.
Well, that's what he was saying. He said, you know, the idea was, I talked to my friends across the pond in Korea, figured out how they were doing it, so it definitely had a lot of kind of tweaks and hits before he really wanted to use it. But like you said, it definitely has been catching on quite a bit. See if they can keep scaling it into the late game, since late game has really been the name of the game since that 4.11. A lot more Kog'Maw, a lot more Trist, and we see that in the hands of Basili. The Qs, you can see, not too worried about it coming out of Shifter as he has the blue buff, but still not really piercing through that Negatron cloak. First buy of Xiao.
It's pretty late in the game for him to go back and get his tier, but he's got one.
Boom.
9 minutes. It'll be a later progression path for LMQ, which I think they're okay with. especially with the Tristana on their side.
Look at this guy over here. Sightstone, no name. Goes for the Sightstone before he even finishes everything. Rushes that even before another longsword, and you can see the ward's paying off.
LMQ has had issues keeping vision against Dignitas, especially the ward's arm race that a lot of junglers can get into against Crumbs. Crumbs pretty much buys more green wards than any other jungler. This time, No Name matches it with an early Sightstone.
Yep.
So they're definitely making some pretty good adjustments against Dig here, the third time around.
It'll work. 42-24 in that lane. Crumbs, he was sharing that early CS, so that's something we didn't even look at either. The buddy system was being used in the jungle. No Name's put himself far ahead.
Yeah.
With that Sightstone.
Didn't have to share with nobody.
Nope. Who? No one.
His guy was in the top lane.
See if he can keep that going strong. Looks like Crumbs will also go for that Spectral Wraith for himself. A little bit of damage in the Elise build. Good dodge out by No Name as they try to hover around Shifter mid. They know Syndra's still going to be a problem, and Shifter picks up the kills when the fights begin. So they still have to take him down a notch if they can. I'm a Cutie Pie pretty hurt. And is back and forth in the bottom lane. So
really, an extended laning phase here.
Whoa! That's Vasily for you. He says, "King me." Hops right out after leapfrogging. Looks like they won't.
Oh, it spawned. Can he make it? No!
Oh, no! Oh, wait. They kicked him. Never mind.
They kicked him in the very wrong place. They had the stun ready to go. Oh, dear. Still a fantastic play there by Vasily and Ward. Yikes. And Xiao is the one running at Shifter in the mid lane.
Yep. This is taking a bit of a different turn here. All the ones that should be kind of backing up and setting out the engage are engaging with forward motions. Vasily showing his aggression once again. He's been doing that quite a bit lately. He picks himself up a kill. And it's going to be a 2,000 gold lead for LMQ now. And they're striking fear into the eyes of Dignitas. They got the wards they want, and they can start using that pressure.
They also have a pretty confident man in the mid lane right here.
Yeah.
He's been dodging all of these Cinder shots from Shifter.
It's interesting to see that the Xiao, you know he's a good farmer, but he does it consistently on every single champion, knowing when to use that ability, what's going to be the best under the turret for 1 or 2 shots on a caster. God, of course he would when I'm talking about him. The pressure's on when you're in the hot seat. But still, he is one of the best harassers as well while getting that farm.
General laning mechanics are just off the charts for Xiao, but it's the LMQ soul lanes that are performing in this one. Very, very heavily, including Vasily, right? It's a laning matchup win right here because they have largely contained Crumbs, just based off of good warding. And then it's been LMQ's lanes that have actually come out on top of Dignitas. Oftentimes, Dignitas' biggest strategies, or biggest boons in the game, is the fact that Zion, Spartan, and Shifter can do so well individually.
Right.
They're really just getting shut down.
Take that out, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 83-68. Zion's only a little bit behind. Completion of his items definitely means quite a bit for Yasuo in those engagements. So it'll help a bit. But it's not going to be much help from Crumbs right now. He needs to get himself built up in the jungle as well. He's a bit behind, especially on for No Name. But we'll see what the next dragon provides for us. We got 30 seconds on that, and LMQ would be more than happy to fight in this one. Nice power surge with a blasting wand for Ackerman. He can hopefully get that needlessly large, or rather, Rod of Ages started charging up soon.
Absolutely.
Blues are taken. This will be good for the dragon.
This will be the point in the game, actually, where I'm a Cutie Pie needs to try and make an impact. It's really bad for Dignitas that he has lost to Tristana to this point, because we keep having very similar matchups in 2 games in a row in this one. We've seen the Tristana versus Lucian matchup with Double Lift and Turtle. And in that one, the Lucian got a little bit ahead and was then able to punish the weak mid game.
Oh, man.
If that doesn't happen, especially with an Infinity Edge coming soon on Vasily, Dignitas could miss that window.
Vasily's also another Doran's Blade up on that damage as well. The hook just missing, which means that potential scare is now down. Having the hook almost means a little bit more. Crumbs can't get in all the way. A desperation move coming in for Dignitas may just work against him. A double kill for Vasily, not what Dig wanted to see coming out of that.
Crumbs trying way too hard to make a play right there. He repelled into 5 people on LMQ before Zion Spartan would have even been there for an extended team fight after the fact. No chance of getting out of that one alive. And then Shifter gets caught off the back as well, leading to even more trouble for Dignitas.
Thinking it would be all right, maybe to lose Crumbs, but what a catch by LMQ to continue on. Now grabbing mid-turret as well. What an influx of gold they're getting out of this one. It doesn't look like they're being contested for the second one. They know the timers, though, and they lose vision of Zion Spartan in the top lane, so good idea to get out.
PewDiePie trying to get the turret in the bottom as well, so a slight overstay there by LMQ after a great set of events. He kills this turret really fast, it'll cancel the teleport, so also a missed teleport opportunity there for LMQ.
But maybe not a missed
heady
kill.
play by PewDiePie until Cavalry is on the way. Goodbye, friend.
Said, which way did you want to go? Oh, you should get that. He
They're
should
trying
be.
to wait for
Oh,
Q detonate.
they stood on it, but he still gets it. He sticks his foot right onto the lantern. Moore takes the first one. Actually, that was No Name that takes the first one. Can Moore get a Winter's Bite on? Oh my gosh, the perseverance from LMQ to keep going. They've already gotten flashes out of both Cutie, or rather, he already uses flash. Summoner, heal, and flash out of that bot lane. They keep going.
There was a lot of really intricate things that happened there, like PewDiePie not jumping away after the first Q landed. So first off, they just try and kick him backwards because they want to get him as far away from home as possible.
More time for fun.
Here the Braum stuns him, but the big thing here is No Name landed the Q on him. And he was hoping to Q after he takes the Lantern to bring him into kill range, but PewDiePie waited for the Sonic Wave to time out before taking the Lantern, but it wasn't enough because Moore manned up, ran straight through the box. No Name landed another Q, and that time because Kiwi Kid was close to PewDiePie, it ended up leading to his demise.
The domino effect continues. Pretty organized deaths over on the side of Dignitas if you look down the scoreboard line. They're keeping things even. But 6-0 here.
Performance by LMQ.
LMQ is definitely playing a very strong game. Within their limits, but making sure that they push it just enough to keep getting what they need. 5,000 gold now, 15 minutes is pretty much what they have. They've only lost one turret in that bottom lane, which really doesn't release any map pressure for them.
And this game could potentially be a really big statement for LMQ.
Oh my
Just
gosh,
as a growing
that's a good call.
experience for a team. I think back to their 4-0 Super Week, and their first defeat in the LCS was at the hands of Dignitas. And it wasn't just a close, hard-fought game. They were dismantled by Dignitas. The early vision control from Crumbs, the entire LMQ team only had 3 kills. It was just completely one-sided and stompy for Dignitas. The next game, Dignitas won a closer game, but still they seem to have LMQ's number. And this time it's just a completely different LMQ team. They picked new laners for them, in a sense. The tankier things they've lost to against Curse, in a sense. They're trying to take that a little bit on their own side. Double Rod of Ages, not the squishy soul laners you'd see. And Vasily is continuing his awesome Tristana play.
Yeah.
And the Sightstone on No Name. It's all these things
So early.
that LMQ wasn't doing earlier in the season. Once they started their kind of mini fall after their 4-0 Super Week, which they seem to be doing now.
That's the thing. They picked some of the same champions that are now coming out, but the results they produce in lane aren't those regular teams or the usual team see. Playing against Ackerman's Gragas, sitting in the brush forever to come out and whack you in the face. All these little plays that give them the upper hand that these players haven't seen before. 2 minutes on to Dragon. Kiwi Kid threading the needle there as he almost hits a nice hook. All right, look at even the health bars right now. Dignitas look a little squishy compared to what LMQ is bringing to the table. Easy pressure on the top turret. Zion Spartan is forced to back right now. LMQ is just on top of everything.
And this will be the point where LMQ has to kind of mentally check themselves and wonder when it's good to go in. This is one of those times.
It's good to go in. Maybe. No Name getting taken out quite quickly. Doesn't have a lot of armor to deal with the rest of the team. Zion Spartan is back into the fight. A beautiful exhaust coming out of Moore instantly to shut down that damage coming from Yasuo. Vasily on the chase. Flashes in, thinking he can get a few more crit shots, but he does not proc him.
And there have been times in the past, Riv, where LMQ will do a dive like that and give the game back. They suffer
that's
one
true.
casualty, get 2 kills, both of them on to Vasily, and they continue this push. Even though they're a little bit low on resources.
Luckily, they got Dignitas to step away from the turret. This time, Dig has that turret. They got to be very careful about how far they initiate. A good slow onto Crumbs to stop the reinitiation, but he repels into range. Winter's Bite for a cocoon. Oh, he gets it on the long range. That's what Cutie Pie needed.
There's a flank by Zion. He teleported in.
Oh, bye-bye, Ackerman.
Or is it? He's got flash.
Oh, what a play. Wow.
He's got
This
a minion
guy.
wave coming up. Does he want to follow it?
Are they really going to tunnel this? No, they'll be fine. He has a ward below him as well, so it looks like we'll see LMQ trying to get mid pushed up a little bit, get that minion wave, something to think about for Dig as they prioritize getting out of this alive.
Oh, man.
Ooh. What? He turned. He turned in the face of danger, and they get a kill. LMQ, he's going to live through that ignite. It's not going to do more than 200 damage to him. He's also drinking a potion.
Doesn't even burn his heal.
No.
And the fight continues.
Oh my gosh, Cutie Pie goes from 50 to 0 in a second. Crumbs is not in the right spot, but Zion Spartan dives in, walls off Xiaowei Zhao's damage, and it looks like they're going to be able to take out No Name here. He just went down, but gold is gold. They're going to be able to pick up more.
Fight has gotten a whole lot messier than LMQ really wanted. Vasily still low, hasn't made it back to base. Pops his shield, goes for kill.
They're trying to fight everything with hardly any mana. Can't finish that one. What? Beautiful repel by Crumbs. Gets one last shot out with the Q. Calls out the power, and he gets a shutdown there. You can see the sword onto Zion Spartan. It was only a little shutdown, not a huge amount of gold.
Oh, more.
Shifter, so slow. They're waiting for Vasily. One more shot. Kind of.
Give the kill away.
Just close. Almost. Oh, more.
Yeah.
Secures it.
A little bit worried that Vasily wouldn't make it into range there. Yikes. All said is done. LMQ still comes out on top of that crazy exchange. And because of the 2,900 gold in Vasily's inventory right now about 50, he's got himself a Phantom Dance.
Ooh.
Very big time damage.
What an explosive surge of power for 21 minutes into the game, Jat. What he's facing on the other side is 0 armor for this point in time. So those are going to be some painful shots coming out of him. He's 5-0 and 4, along with a 5-2 and 3. LMQ No Name from the jungle.
They got to get this down
play.
pretty fast, though. Dignitas is on the way. No jungle smite, though.
They'll be in range for it. Wow. Kiwi Kid
Silly
going
gonna
hard
hop
on this one. It looks like they are really desperately trying to get into these dragons. It's going to be Vasily. He fires in. That's the crit coming now from the Phantom Dancer. He's getting the procs that he wants. Another double kill in the game coming in for him. Late game Trist coming out at 21 minutes.
Yeah, that is a very, very scary thing. Oh, he doesn't even finish the blue.
Oh, Ackerman! No. Throwing himself a quick party at Dig's blue buff. He walks away the only one to win.
10,000 gold. The difference in this game now. 3 different double kills for Vasily this match. Just going to go back and buy some more treats. This fight in particular was actually a really good bait by LMQ. They knew they had the backup this entire time. They had the smite, and then No Name took a few hits before Vasily would jump in, which meant Vasily could just go for it. Zion Spartan did close in to get a pretty nice kill onto Moore, but it's just 1 for 3, and the dragon.
Looks like Vasily's starting to build up some magic resistance, actually. Getting himself some help here as well. He knows he could get zeroed out by Shifter still. Shifter actually looking for that. Builds a Void Staff second to make sure his power hits. He's not bringing much power. He just wants to get it all to work.
That's actually a pretty common thing for Syndra's who are behind in a game.
Right.
They'd love to be able to build a death cap in between that, but if they're looking for damage at this stage in the game, when people have typically built magic resistance, they need to go Void Staff second. It's not actually a thing that Syndra wants to do. It's something that Syndra has to do under certain circumstances.
And we can see that multiple lanes have kind of forced into their not want situations
there.
here. Ackerman over the wall. They have so many gap closers.
Oh, he kicked him!
Huge range. That's going to be a Q that follow all the way across. Xiaowei Zhao coming in to help the fight. The Kiwi Kid almost going down. Oh my God, Vasily goes in, goes out, says ping me once again.
8-0-5, another nice grab by LMQ. Starving Dignitas out of vision again and again. And they're just hoping the Dignitas comes in to check again.
I don't know if it's even going to be enough time.
The Baron health bar down to the bottom left.
A 3K, and it's going to be an easy smite out there as we see Baron go down. Dignitas trying to pick up what they can, but even down in damage, Cutie Pie is only holding an infinity edge on top of that Avarice and a bit of attack speed, so even he can't put down a turret with his team.
It's a very tricky situation to be in for Dignitas. You want to keep your morale high here and say, guys, we can come back.
Everyone just calm down.
But sometimes it's a little bit out of the question, and this is one of those times. 5 people on LMQ with Baron. They're just on a rampage right now.
It's a good lockdown. Crumb's got a nice cocoon that saved Kiwi Kid's life there, but that's the box. That's Ignite before they even get to your inhibitor turret. So much is being used out for LMQ to safely approach the stairs here to Dignitas's base. More even better safety with the shield up as Baron ticks these guys back up to full health.
This could very well be the last fight of the game. LMQ exceptionally far ahead right now.
This is what happens
for
when
all of Dignitas'
all the
damage
lanes
sources
win.
as well. The Frozen Heart on Gragas, the Negatron Cloaks on the others. Dignitas can't really kill LMQ, and LMQ most definitely can kill Dignitas.
I love more just setting up the wall. They go in for the turret. Nice hit by Ackerman. They think they can just get the follow-up damage on the turret. Actually kill Kiwi Kid first. That's how sure they are of themselves. Able to take any fight they want under a turret. Now inside the base of Dignitas. They're getting the stranglehold.
They still have a lot of ultimates. If Dignitas decides something funny, that wasn't the right one.
Xiao and Vasily in perfect position for this fight. No Name almost able to take down one. That was Cutie Pie getting almost soloed out there. LMQ's moving into the base, chat, and this looks like it could be it.
Well, we started the game with an 80-minute day. Started the day with an 80-minute game.
Yeah.
We're going to end the day with a sub-26-minute stomp by LMQ over Dignitas.
Coming up very strong. LMQ's going to have a win against every team in the league once they take down the Nexus. Do one of two right now to be able to say that for themselves. And they do. Under 26 minutes, 21-5. Vasily once again goes for the aggressive rocket jump to save victory. LMQ over Dignitas.
That is one way to do it, and I cannot believe how well LMQ adapted to Dignitas' 2 prior games against them.
Very solid. Textbook play. Nicely done. A great start in the early part of the game. Let's talk about this.
The very start by Ackerman was brilliant. It's one of those things that you do once and then you never get away with again.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But it was a spectacular opening. Ackerman was level 4 before Dignitas knew where he was, and it also meant No Name had a lead.
That was so big. That was so big for it affect more than just the top lane, but the jungle was affected once you saw everything kind of come to fruition. Once we saw Zion Spartan running around at level 1 with 5 CS, and you're like, wow, even Crumbs is hurt from that. What a play. And it was all because they did nothing.
Just stand in a brush and mind your own business.
Stand there.
Sometimes that's the best course of action. Also, awesome. Xiao, Vasily, Moore, those guys, as far as their laning this game, was absolutely on point, outlaning their adversaries on Dignitas here. I mean, it's a reason that LMQ is now tied with CLG for first place in the league. The most decisive win of the day, for sure. And in a North American LCS that is so damn close, with every game kind of going back and forth. We saw 2 Nexuses being pressured by minions kind of going down to the wire in 4 games. And in this environment, for LMQ to face another first-place team and beat them in 26 minutes is a huge jump forward for them, just even mentality-wise.
That was a very strong game by LMQ, especially for, as we said, the lane matchups. We had our featured matchup in the jungle, definitely won by No Name. But to see Xiao, again, now Rise versus Syndra, a matchup we've seen sometimes go, or most of the time rather, go in the favor of the Syndra, with the Rise having to build that early Negatron. But turned around 233 to 186. Xiao came out on top. Very strong in that matchup. And it's something that LMQ is starting to show, as they are so versatile, you cannot stop them with regular bans.
Yeah, they're growing and evolving almost faster than the other teams, it really feels like, because the difference between the games that LMQ was playing at the start of the split to now is very pronounced. They are taking the things that beat them, harnessing them for their own use, and they're coming out stronger. It's a matter of consistency once again, though. But I am very impressed, because we were worried that LMQ was going to have that 4-0 start, very great start for a new team in the LCS, which we've seen before in both North America and Europe, and then you see a decline as teams adapt to them and then not being able to adapt back. But LMQ has had that swing already. They went 4-0 in Super Week, dipped in the middle of the season, and now they're back in first.
It's something that they need to do. They have a lot of fans behind them. They come out of Challenger Series, and a lot of people thought that they were just going to be a top team to roll through everything. A lot of the LCS teams said LMQ as a first-year team will sit in the middle of the pack, we think, towards the end of the season. Right now, sit at the top of the pack, now tied again at the top This is going to be quite a situation.
And let's not get ahead of ourselves. They're, what, 2 games back from 5th place still? It's still a very competitive LCS, but just based on the magnitude of that victory, it speaks well to their future.
Absolutely. All right, another wild day here in the North American LCS. So let's pull up the standings to see how the teams are stacked right now. And first, it's CounterLogic Gaming and LMQ.
And then 1 game back and tied for 3rd is now Cloud9, with Dignitas and TSM there as well. In 6th place, it is Curse, and the gap between Complexity is now just 1 game.
That's right. Then in last, it is Evil Geniuses. But we'll be back with 4 more games to shake things up, starting with Curse versus Evil Geniuses.
Yes, and then Dignitas will face off against CLG, followed by Cloud9 taking on Team Solo Mid. And we will conclude the LCS day with what could be a wild one between Complexity and LMQ.
That's right. Then stick around for the North American Challenger Series. We'll be bringing you a best-of-3 quarterfinal showdown between T8 and Zenith Esports. As we throw it over to Freak and Zyrene for today's Challenger Series, let's take a quick look back at some of today's highlights so far.
We're putting too much energy into the cameras, guys. Let's save it for the game.
Pretty close.
Can they get the shockwave combo off?
Oh, they do! Wombo combo indeed, served up just right. This is going to be a through the front door base race. They are trying to get this down. Oh my God! Robert goes for the shot. He's got a black shield to stay alive.
Cloud9? More like Cloud Wine when we're done with this game.
I'm unkayable. Whoa, High only gets 1 for the ultimate. He goes for last breath, and they pull it right back into Meteos' ultimate of absolute 0. Perfectly played for their area of effect.
Maybe I should go into voice acting.
Yeah.
I will not forget who I am.
Soul Shackle coming out from Aframu. He gets the lockdown before he goes down. That's the crowd control they needed to follow through with the fight.
What's going through your mind right now?
I got nothing going through my mind but League of Legends.
Give me some.
Xiao Xiao coming in to help the fight, and Kiwi Kid almost going down. Oh my God, Vasily goes in, goes out, says King Me once again.